you?
Perfect.
I'm recording. Hope that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time. Let's see here. Let me pull up this. We were chatting on LinkedIn for a minute there.
Yeah.
To give you some context about what I'm doing, Suraj, I'm interviewing experts in Web3, NFTs, anything metaverse as well.
Okay.
And anybody that's also building in the space.
Got it.
But so far, it's mostly been entrepreneurs in the space and startups.
No, pleasure to connect any way I can.
Nice. So where are you at?
I'm in Boston.
Boston? Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I've never been out there.
Oh, it's I've been here almost I came back in 2015, so 7 years now since I've been back.
Okay, right on. And what is it that you do in this space?
In Web3, I have a small startup. So I have a startup that's catered towards the hospitality industry. We are trying to build an ecosystem of resources that we can provide to the whole community itself, right? Because like in the last 2 to 3 years, what we have seen is like just a straight decline, right? When you call about workforce management, you talk about people not getting wages right, you're talking about just like the talent leaving the pool and then just going, taking up other jobs and stuff like that. It's not just one catalyst, there's a lot of them, right? 2020 was one, the COVID happened, a lot of people didn't have work. So, like this started from that of a process, right? A lot of my friends are chefs, like they own restaurants. And, like when you see people like you that cannot even, so this is like one of the starting stories is that. So one of our buddies owns a donut shop and fry oil was $64 a pop. It used to be 16 in 2019, 2020 was like 18, 19, right? So when a donut shop cannot even put donuts on the menu because the fry oil is too expensive and the dude is like losing hope, that tells you how fucked or some broken or something is, right? So that's what led for me and like four of my other friends, like to kind of get together and be like, okay, what can we do about it? So I got into Web3 in 2013 when I bought Bitcoin for the first time. We used to work on a cruise ship and I met this dude who talked to me about something so cool. And I was like, oh, nice, let's go. So, that's how I started. And, I've been around here, but I have my own career, like I work for HEI Hotels and Resorts. It's a management company. They have like 95 hotels, so I run the Riviera Hotel Boston Common with them. I've been cooking for almost 14, 15 years now. And so that's what basically I do.
You said you've been cooking for a while?
Oh yeah, I went to Thames Valley. I went to Napier University in Scotland. That's where I have my bachelor's from. I have a bachelor's in hospitality management. I have a master's in culinary from West London University. And so I started, that's my profession, is like cooking, haute cuisine comes first.
Oh,
But this is something that, like we just thought about it and we started, building it. And it's been a year now.
You're making me hungry, man. I haven't eaten today.
Oh, same.
Well, it's only 12:30 here, so.
Are you, you're in Central Time?
Mountain time. I'm in Utah.
Oh, you're Mountain. Okay, you're in Utah. Oh, nice place. I was just watching this documentary about Skinwalker Ranch yesterday.
Yeah. Skinwalker
Yeah.
Ranch. That's
Yeah.
oh man, I'm hooked on that show.
Oh yeah, are you? It is a pretty cool show, Yeah, I saw that. I was like, yep.
Did you see it on Netflix or on Amazon
Yes,
Prime?
I saw it on Netflix. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they just my buddy's been out that way, driven past the ranch because he's a real estate agent, so he's all over the place. But I was talking to a really interesting fellow. He used to work at Area 51.
Okay.
And I was telling him about Skinwalker Ranch. and he was kind of giving me the stuff. And then I started talking to him about like some of the strange frequencies, like the 1650 gigahertz. You haven't seen this part yet, but
Okay.
kind of nodded his head. He's like, yeah, okay. I've met like another guy that used to be he used to work for some of the oil companies out in that area, drilling for oil and
Okay.
stuff. And the community is kind of like, they don't like talking about it in that
Oh, I bet,
community.
it's like, yeah, I've never been to Utah much. I've only like driven past it, driving to like California.
Mhm.
So, uh, it's it's interesting to learn all this stuff.
So changing gears again, the hospitality based, because I'm on your LinkedIn, I'm stalking you here.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Hospitality based info tech startup, bringing on blockchain technology to the hospitality industry. So also using Chef as the native currency for the decentralized platform. Let's dive into this project, because this
Yeah,
is what people are interested in. People are listening to
no,
this.
true. Yeah.
Um,
So, what do you would like to know?
well, is there a pitch deck that I should be looking at, or do you want
Uh,
to kind of start from?
we don't have a necessary pitch deck yet because like our MVP is something that we're still refining. So if you would go to my website, and then you would see that we have the alpha test going on
Mhm.
for the marketplace, right? Where we are just trying to get that made base model up and ready, test out the smart contracts functions and everything to make sure that we are in line to like kind of start putting stuff on it and see how well we can perform. So we don't have like a legit pitch deck that you can look at. You can look at the white paper, but
Okay.
you can ask me whatever question you like.
The Cheforama. So um, if I were like at a meetup, and
Yeah.
I said to you, Suraj, tell me about the Cheforama. Give me like the 30-second to 1 minute pitch on what the Cheforama is exactly and how you monetize those types of things.
So basically, the Cheforama is a Web3 hospitality solutions company, right? It is here to use the technology that we're building Web3 with. Not I'm not talking about NFTs. I'm not talking about all that stuff. I'm talking about the fundamental building blocks, right? Where it is, like it's a written trust proof program, which has smart contracts induced in it, where you can, like perform automated monotonous tasks, right? And you can have the store of value of this information. So we are using this basic groundwork to create something, for the future where, it can be easier for the people that come in our community. I don't know if you've ever heard about French Laundry, Thomas Keller's restaurant up in Unionville.
I
And
have.
one of the things that he very talks about very proudly is that, we as chefs, we stand upon the shoulders of the ones that came before us. And the ones that will come afterwards will stand on the shoulders of ours. So me, as my vision, is to just create a platform for the future ones that are coming, right? So one of the things that we want to do is we want to build an AI powered blockchain software network. It doesn't have to be a layer 0, it doesn't have to be a layer 1, it can be a layer 2, right? Where for like if you go to a restaurant, right, the manager at the end of the night has to run, do certain things, that is closing tasks and stuff like that. Now imagine you could train a smart contract to do those tasks where he's checking if everybody punched in or punched out. There's nobody that missed a break. And like and what does the program do at 2 o'clock at night is like it just it generates an auto-generated report, puts it out there, and then you just know that it's there. Right. I know I'm going more than 30 seconds, but like I'm
It's
trying to
fine. I'm
like,
liking this.
yeah. So, like, so what we are doing is we're telling the smart contract to go exactly where it needs to go to find that value and just input it in that sector. So now we're making the manager's workload easier, right? He doesn't have to sit in front of a computer where he can be like on the floor, that person can touch base with him. And, like you can just take this little nitbit and apply it a macro situation to a hotel where you have accounting departments, you have like certain, you have the front of the house, you have the back of the house, and then you're using 6 different PMS, POS softwares to maintain a property where you could just do it in one blockchain network, which has the smart contracts that can just be programmed to where to go to find the value, right?
Mhm.
Now you can take it, you can level up on this, right? How can you do that? So there's a company that, like is called Matterverse. I love what they're building, which what is they're building is they're building a no code editor where you can shape a room into something. Now, my hotel, for example, has 55,000 square feet of banquet space that we sell for events. How many times is my sales manager, my events manager, my guest relations manager spending time inside that room showing people that room? What if I could build an SDK model that was no code related, that we could just send a file to the customer? They can hang out in the room, right? We can create virtual hosts inside the room that can just stand there. You can import it via Unity and they can talk to them about everything, right? And then you could save that time. Now that person can do 5 different things and sell more stuff, right? Now you're generating more revenue because you're taking monotonous tasks away. Nobody wants to do stupid, boring shit, bro. Like, fuck, people need to realize that, right?
So
So,
would an application, you'd be smoothing out operations.
yeah,
And so if, like, let's say I was thinking of booking an event at a certain hotel, and you were talking about a virtual host, like I could have, let's say in the future, some AR glasses and I could put on and I'm talking to my virtual host and he's showing me around the place type of
oh,
thing.
dude, bro, AR is going to take over this industry in a very important way, right? So my company owns a Gutter Cat clone. I don't know if you've heard about Gutter Cat Gang. They're a big community of NFTs. Cool stuff they do. I love what they built. So we own a Gutter Cat clone, and one of the coolest movies about cooking is Ratatouille. What is Ratatouille about? It's a movie about this rat that wants to be this cool, crazy chef in France. So we started a small Web3 connectivity platform called Gutter Food Labs because we want to build upon our clone, which is a rat clone, right? So ours is called Gutter Food Labs. And what Gutter Food Labs does is, it's an open connectivity platform for chefs, hospitality workers, bartenders, anywhere you can come in. So yesterday we had our first call, and one of the things that we talked about was having AR induced menus, right? So let's say, I come from a world where we do private tasting menus, where now I'm doing a menu. I do a Pirates of the Caribbean theme where I have this little QR code in front of each table. Okay. Now the guest can scan the QR code and an AR immersive map pops up. This is a treasure chest map. There's 8 checkpoints. Each checkpoint is a dish. Now, as soon as you cross the checkpoint as a guest, you get this dish served to you where you get to try that dish too, right? Now imagine you can send people on this little fucking immersive menu experience, and you can do this with AR. Bro, like there's so much that can happen, right? It all depends on how much immersive of an experience you want to give to somebody.
That's
So,
awesome. I
like,
literally I was writing down menu equals experience.
right?
I'm like,
It's
oh, that's great.
Yeah, like, so there's a lot that we can do, and I think that our hospitality industry is like a little sector that needs that boom, right? It needs people like this that can build upon this, and then we can create like the futures, the restaurants of tomorrow or something like that.
So this is fairly new. What would you say is going to be your biggest challenge for this year,
Education,
2022?
education. One of
Education.
the biggest things that I have seen in so I've obviously, like, I've been building this for a year. Like, you can imagine how many people I've spoken about to this about. And like my whole network is about people that work in my business. One of the biggest things that I face is that, oh, we don't know anything about it, but we want to try something cool. So that gap where, like we don't know anything about it. So like a funny story, right? So I don't know if you've heard about Inevitable. The Tiago Amaral is one of the co-founders. They're this educating company for Web3 and stuff. They do this online NFT course that you can get. So I like I just cold DM Tiago like a couple times where I'm like, hey man, help me teach people in hospitality. Like, how can we come up with something? He's probably, he's fucking way too up there, so he doesn't give a shit about me, but like whatever. Like, so, that's one thing that I feel that we need. And that's where Gutter Food Labs was born. Is like, if I can just get them to talk and then we can build upon an idea from there, it would be a whole different level. So like, some of the chefs that I connect with, they're from Philippines, that to even having a QR code that people can sign to collect a POAP, that's something cool, right? Like that, even if you did something, you start small and then you start building bigger and bigger to see how many people, just show up outside to get a POAP, that they can prove that they have a bookmark, like they've been there in their life one time, like stuff like that. Imagine if NYC started giving out a POAP to every time you went to the Statue of Liberty. Like, and even if they charge $5 for that, they'll fucking ring in billions,
Yeah.
just as a community wealth value. So
That's cool. POAPs. I mean, I barely understood and learned about POAPs in January. I went to a crypto tax summit and they were giving out POAPs. And I was like, okay, this is like, super new for me. But it was cool. I walked away with something more than just like, a bag that I got and some of the cool stuff from
yeah,
the people that were hosting or sponsoring the events, but something that was digital in my MetaMask wallet I could hold. It says I was at this event.
yeah, it creates value. Like in the end of the day, you're just like you're not doing anything new, right? You are creating value for somebody to remember it, right? Like you can. So like I was at the NFT NYC and I was handing out POAPs, right? Like to everybody that came in, I have this. It's actually my wallet's like right here. So I have this, right? This is an EYA card. So it's an NFC built card that I can just tap on somebody's phone and they can get a POAP, and I can make like 2,000 POAPs. I can select which POAP I want to give out. So, like just having that, you walking around in New York, like I had one for the GCG event, I had one for the NFT NYC. So it's just like, like it's cool that you're like, hey, dude, we met. Hey, remember me. It is my email's there. You can reach out to me anytime you want,
That's cool.
it's yeah. So, I think it will become like a future of like just contact interaction.
So I don't know about that technology. Like, so you can just tap someone's phone with that card and they
Yeah,
receive
it's
an
an
NFT.
NFC card. Yeah. So it's an NFC interactable card where, it just reads on the same waves as Bluetooth.
Okay.
Yeah. And, it will prompt your phone to go to a link. And then from that link, you can mint your POAP.
Very cool. I
Yeah, I
think
met these guys over there.
I need to start integrating that, especially with folks that I want to interview. Sending them something and be like, hey, here's a POAP to say that you were on my podcast, or and start building
Yeah.
brand awareness that way.
No, absolutely. Like you can, you can even do this via link, right? You don't need a card. So you can set yourself up with an account and then just, have the link. And then you could just send them the link and then they could just mint the POAP via the link. So, it's pretty interesting on things that you can, like, okay, this show was this guy, that person will remember it. And then, like, since like you said, you do podcasts, sorry. So what you could do is like at the end of the month, you could have people select the podcast they love the most, and then you can bring the guy back and then he has another POAP, stuff like that. So it's all a gimmick, right?
I like it, man. Well, listen, I'm short on time, but I appreciate you coming on and chatting with me. You've opened my eyes to a couple other things that I just didn't really think about, especially like the AR menu experience, those types of things. I'm still connecting the dots on how all of this is going to work, and I think a lot of people, especially some of these listeners, are like, what's a POAP? So I mean, I'm just barely learning all this. So
like I like to read. I'm fascinated by sciences and computers. So, like I'm very much into it. Cooking, my profession is basically science. So, that's where I live.
nice.
I thrive on this shit.
Well, I appreciate your time. Have a productive
Anytime,
week.
boss.
Yeah,
You
let's
too.
connect again.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right. Take care.
Yep. Ciao.